Everybody, this is Perch. Let's get into a question about Monster of the Week. Okay. This mail from a viewer says, "Hey Perch, how was Geneva outside of the Panini Comics?" Geneva's nice. I like Geneva. Easy to get around. One thing that aggravates me about the U.S. compared to other countries is that other countries have largely figured out simple ways to do public transportation, and the U.S. continues to just fail at doing that, and it's baffling. It's weird that the U.S., with all the rest of what it can do, seems to get public transportation consistently wrong. And keep in mind now, I think it's a little bit different than Northeast and everything else. But coming from like the Pacific Northwest, places in California, it's screwed up. And you go to another country where it's not stupid, and suddenly life gets a lot better, and it's amazing what can happen there. But anyway, it was very nice. I like the area. Good, clean, good food. I'm still never going to get, by the way, the Swiss tradition of eating just cheese and bread. And by cheese, I like fondue. Like fondue is a meal. So I go out to dinner with people, and I'm like ordering dinner. They're like, I'm going to have the cheese and bread. I'm like, all you're eating is just liquid cheese and bread. That's it. I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. Whatever. Doesn't work for me. Anyway, the mail continues. It says, all right. It says it used to be especially the case in books like Batman, Hulk, Wolverine, and the monster titles, Swamp Thing and Man Thing, that every now and again the book would take a detour, and our hero would, for one issue, find himself battling a werewolf, bear, swamp monster, zombie, whatever, and this would take up the whole issue. I absolutely loved those issues, but I see them less and less in current comics and have taken to hunting them down in back issues. Hulk and Swamp Thing particularly had some great fun Monster Week issues back in the day. I also think these books can serve as a good entry point where a reader can see a hero kicking ass, no strings attached, and it can be a done-in-one comic, or it can get them on the whole run going forward. Is this a dying concept for comics? With Supernatural ending, it feels like it's a dying concept for TV too, with all stories these days seemingly needing to be one continuous narrative. Monster of the Week, when I was a kid, was the stuff people revisited most, especially with X-Files and Buffy, where this worked brilliantly. It has a good rewatchability or rereadability. What's your take? There's a little bit more, but we'll get to that in a minute. I think the art of the done-in-one and the art of the Monster of the Week, because what's funny, and this is always one of those weird things about TV, and we've talked about it in other places in the past, where it seems like the writers get insecure with the formula that worked and got them popular. And so, like, you take a look at X-Files, and I remember when the writers and Duchovny as well and Anderson were talking about how, it's like, well, we don't want to just come out and do a Monster of the Week kind of episode. I think it was when they were going to do that revival. And it's like, the viewers are expecting more than just Monster of the Week, one and done episodes. It's like, no, I think that's exactly what the viewers are expecting, because that's what got the show popular. Yes, there was a mythology of the smoking man and kind of will Mulder ever find a flying saucer or whatever, but the show was popular and gained its viewers because you tune in, you'd see them investigating some random ass thing, and then they'd move on. It's why shows like CSI and a lot of these the crime type shows work. Is you have you have some ongoing plot stuff you can touch upon every now and then, but by and large it's easy entry, one and done. When they go into syndication, you can play them in any order you want, and that works. That tends to be simple and popular and successful. And I wish there would be. I wish comics, same thing. I think you can't have every comic be done in one, and I think like anything, it's a balance. But the done in one comics were successful in what they pulled off, and in particular, I think you hit upon something really well. It's a chance to see the hero just able to cut loose and kick ass on something, and you don't have to worry about preserving the villain or whatever happened. You don't have to worry about, well, I can't do this to the Joker because the Joker is going to show up again in like 5 issues, and the Joker is a popular villain, so I can't just have the Joker disappear in one issue. I think that part of what made Hush successful is that it did have the feel of a bunch of done in one issues. Now, obviously, there was this ongoing narrative about Tommy Elliott and Hush and everything else. there was more to it. But Hush had the feeling of you pick up a comic and you got, here's Batman fighting Killer Croc, and here's Batman fighting Harley Quinn, and here's Batman fighting, it had this momentum to it that people like. And if it's a good artist, good story, everything else, you'll be stuck in for the long term. But I remember Secret Avengers did this with Warren Ellis. They did a bunch of done in one issues, and that was also successful. It's the Monster of the Week stuff. It would be great. It is dying out, and it's dying out because there's this insecurity on the part of the writers. They're like, well, we can't just give them that. We need to do more. Forgetting that's what works. That's what brings a lot of people to the table. That's what allows the show to go into syndication and be played in any order, and people tend to like it because they don't have to feel like they're hooking onto something. I think it's more true now than ever when you have Amazon, you have Netflix, and you have Disney Plus, and everybody is doing bingeable series. So you're signing up for 12 episodes, 6 episodes, whatever it happens to be. You're coming in for an extended movie told in episode format. And when The Mandalorian came out, I didn't see a lot of people mentioning this. Maybe they did. But The Mandalorian was, in effect, a Monster of the Week type format. Yes, there was some mystery about the Yoda baby and everything else, but it was basically The Mandalorian going out, having an adventure, fighting some threat, leaving, going out, finding another threat. I mean, it's very much a Monster of the Week done in one type serial show. And I think there was some relief when people saw that of, oh, thank God, I can just, watch the show at my own pace and, enjoy the show for what it is. And I think there'd be a lot of value to comics doing that as well. I think that, but, do it not as a gimmick. I think comics likes to, like even Hickman did this when he was on X-Men. It's like every issue is going to be done in one. Don't sell it that way. Just do it. Just, don't make it into a gimmick. The gimmick is that you're telling short, quick, easily accessible stories. That's the gimmick, and it's a good gimmick. So just be confident in that and call it a day. But anyway, I think I agree. So the mail has another part to it. So let's get that as well. We'll get two questions in one mail. It's like cheating. It says, it goes, so I'm continuing with the mail. It says, also, airports seem like an ideal place for comic book stories. Am I crazy or what? My first comic was a trade I got at a bookstore for an international flight. Feels like a good business model, what with the captive bored audience of people looking to pass the time, as well as constant guaranteed daily traffic. Maybe that's a video by itself. I'm answering it in this because I think it is a relatively short answer. So the short answer is graphic novels would do well there, and the publishers should take the opportunity to take it even further and get the graphic novel into tankobon sized, the smaller sized graphic novel, because the one thing that is true about the airport is many people are limited in what they can carry around. You're already carrying around your luggage and everything else. You don't want to start carting around a bunch of books and comics, particularly if they're floppies that you think you need to protect. Things are going to get destroyed in the airport. Things are going to get misplaced. You're going to cram it into a bag. So comic companies should go about with a very airport-friendly, tankobon-sized graphic novel with stories, collections, what have you. Put your best foot forward. Put The Astonishing X-Men by Joss Whedon into a tankobon format. Keep the price point under $10, and there you go. It would be a very, very smart thing to do. And you're right. There's a daily audience. There's people who are looking to do things on planes. That you do get exhausted if you're on a long flight by watching the movies. So you want to turn to something, and a book. Books do quite well in airports. A lot of people buy novels. So give the comic books a chance to shine there too. And quite frankly, for comics, it would be incredibly easy, barely an inconvenience to do it, because you have a limited number of airport stores. Many of them are read by the same HMS group or whatever. It's the same kind of, I think there's 3 to 4 companies that basically manage 95% of the stores in the airports. You go sign a deal with those, get graphic novels into those, get them in a format where they don't have to change their shelf, they don't have to do anything weird. Remember, high traffic business, So you got to keep it super, super easy to stock, put on the shelf, move on. Either make it tankobon sized, which fits in kind of their current racks, or make it magazine sized, which fits in that rack. Either way, just go for it. Make it nice and simple. Strike deals with those 4 companies. You'd make a ton of money. I absolutely think that would be a smart, good place to go. But who knows if they'll do that. Anyway, thank you very much for the mail, and curious what all of you think in the comments below. And thanks for listening.